Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to make my secret scone recipes. The first one is a cranberry and orange, and the other one is a blueberry and lemon. It's a good idea to have all your stuff out before you even start. Because I'm going to be using the peel of the lemons and the oranges, I made sure that I washed them just with a mild dish soap and a scrub brush and a good rinse, and then I'm just going to let them air dry. I find it works best when you're grating the peels that they've been in the fridge for a while. So, first thing I want to do is add 6 cups of flour. And I don't sift it or do anything special with it, it's just regular flour, all-purpose unbleached. And I'm just scraping the extra off the top. And I need my sugar, which is going to be 2/3 of a cup. So basically it's all your dry ingredients first. I'm also going to add in my orange peel, and it's about 3 tablespoons. So I'm just going to scoop that off the side. So to get 3 tablespoons I had to use 2 oranges about that big. And I did like 1.5 the peels. 6 teaspoons of the baking powder. And you do want to make sure it's baking powder and not baking soda, because if you get those backwards, it just doesn't turn out as good. Okay, and then I've got salt. So 3 half teaspoons for the salt, so I'm just going to go 1, and then I'm going to measure, I'm going to estimate the other half. So it's a 1/4 teaspoon in the base recipe, so I'm just going to guesstimate 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, so that can go. It smells so good. You just sort of want to get your hands in there just to break up the orange peels. I don't know if you can see that, but they're kind of clumped together, so I'm just going to take a minute. I'm not going to go too crazy, but because I know that I have other mixing to do, so it's not too bad. Alright, so for my butter, right, you might have noticed that butter has markings on the part of the wrapper along the edge. So what that's for, if you're not sure, is you can, if I need a cup of butter, I just cut it right on that line. I don't have to try to mash it into a measuring cup or something like that. But what I'm doing, I need a cup of butter, so I'm going to line it up with the 1 cup. And I believe this butter there's like 1 cup, half cup, 2/4 cups. So I've got 2 cups of butter, which is going to be perfect because that's what I need for both my recipes. So straight down the middle, cut it. I've got my brick and I just put it right in. I'm just going to cut the butter into smaller and smaller pieces, and sometimes I'll hold it in my hand and I'll just cut it into smaller cubes if I can. And what you don't want to do is heat the butter or microwave it or something to make it melt, because that's not what you need for this recipe. It's got to be chunks of butter. I'm just going to use the side of the bowl, and I'm going to see if I can get that a little bit smaller. And that's why we wear an apron. So when I've kind of got them small enough, I get my hands right in there. And I'm going to just sort of incorporate the flour. So once that is pretty much combined, you want it to look kind of crumbly. And when you squeeze it in your hands, it makes something that sticks together. So that's basically what you're looking for, just like that. So I'm going to set that aside. And the second part of this is the wet ingredients. So I have my cranberries. So for my recipe, I need 3 cups of cranberries. I'm going to use my dry measure. set it right inside the bowl. I got one. Two. And 3 cups of cranberries, 3/4 cups of orange juice, so one of my favorite parts of making these recipes is drinking the juice while I'm doing it. Okay, so 3/4 cups of orange juice, and then you got a 3/4 cup of half and half cream, so 10%. And okay, so that goes all in together, along with 3 eggs that I need to put in there. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to mix that up. Then what you do is you take your liquid mixture and you pour it into your dry mixture. Alright, so that all goes in there. And then I use my fork and I'm just going to start mixing it around. And I do as much of this as I can before I have to stick my hands in there, because once you do that, it's game over. Can't touch anything else. So once I've got it pretty much mixed with the fork, it gets very sticky very fast. Whoop, there it goes. What I'm trying to do is just get the last little bit of the dry stuff on the bottom mixed into it. Alright, so it's starting to thicken up now. It's almost like a cookie dough. And I've still got some stuff in the bottom there. Just flip my mixture over so maybe the wet side gets it more. Okay, so once you're pretty much ready to roll it out, I'm just going to take some flour. And now what I want to do is just make sure the texture is pretty consistent all the way through. I don't have like powdery parts and wet parts and stuff like that. So I'm just going to knead it. Flip it on its side and knead it again. And I'm going to sort of roll it, because I've made 3 batches, I'm going to cut it into 3 parts. So I want those to be fairly equal. And then of course the ends are going to be sticky, so I'm going to set 2 of these aside, dip them in the flour so that they're not going to stick too bad. Right? A little bit more flour. And all I'm going to do, press it. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on my rolling pin. And I do that over top of this so that I can do both at the same time. And then I'm going to continue with that circle shape. Okay, and then we just take our knife and go straight across one end to the other. And I rock the knife on the counter. Now if you have a counter you don't want to scratch it or something like that, you can put parchment paper or something underneath. And then I'm going to go directly across the other way. And I'm going to keep going and dividing it in all the different directions. Ooh. Okay, so the scones I'm making are fairly thin. That way they cook evenly. You can make them thicker if you want to. So you end up with 16 pieces if you do it this way. So then I just take them one at a time and put them on my cookie sheet, my parchment lined cookie sheet. And I'm going to put them large end down, large end up, alternating so that I can fit them all in the pan. Okay, so that's the first batch that I did, and now I have to roll out the other ones, so I'm just going to do the same thing again. I would say that these are about, I don't know, maybe between 1/4 and 1/2 inch thick. You don't want the circle to be too big because then you end up with really tiny bottom parts that trail off and they just get kind of burnt. It's good to keep them sort of consistent. If you only did one recipe of this instead of tripling it like I did, you'd only do this one time, but well, lots of people that love these, so I have to make a lot. One more time. If you don't end up with the perfect circle, don't worry. You can fiddle with it a little bit, but it's homemade. It's supposed to look homemade. Okay, so now these are ready to go in the oven, and they're going to go in for 8.5 minutes. I have done this many times, and I wrote right in my book, at convection at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, these got 8.5 minutes, otherwise crunchy, bad things happening. Okay, so I have a little magnetic timer that I put on my fridge, and it's portable, I love it. 8.5 minutes. Okay, so while that's happening, I'm going to move these off and start on my next batch, the blueberry and lemon ones. So all I'm going to do, start measuring it again, and it was 6 cups. So for the lemon one, I'm using lemon juice, which is not as sweet as orange juice. So for this recipe, I'm going to put a little more sugar. I'm put 3/4 of a cup of sugar instead of the 2/3 I put in the other ones. So okay, and then this time I have my grated lemon peel. So that goes in. The baking powder, 6 teaspoons again. Baking soda was 3/4 of a teaspoon, which I'm going to guesstimate again. And the 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And my other cup of butter that I set aside. And this one smells lovely. It's got that nice lemon smell. When they come out of the oven, all they need really is a nice brush with some orange juice while they're still really hot. So these have cooled for just a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to put them on a plate because I need this pan for the last few that I had still to cook. There we go. Back in the oven. So now, same procedure. I'm going to put on 3 eggs. Alright, and then the blueberries, the same thing. I need 3 cups of blueberries. So I've got 1, oh no, 2, 3. It's not quite 3, but that's going to be fine. Oh, they smell good too. Wow, okay. And then it's going to get lemon juice, and I'm going to add water as well. I'm going to water down the lemon juice a little bit because it's super strong and I don't want it to be overpowering. Okay. So, lemon juice. 1/3 lemon juice, and then I fill it up to the 3/4 with the water. That's going to go in here. And then we also have our cream, our half and half cream, which is also 3/4 of a cup, I believe. Yes, for my recipe. Oh. I like to get right down in line with it so that you can see it's actually 3/4 of a cup. Don't be concerned, this is going to curdle because of the lemon and the milk products. I'm just going to make sure that everything gets mixed together properly. And on that, you want another one, don't you? Maybe. Go ahead. Alright. Good. And same thing as before, we're going to dump this into here. And get my fork. Start mixing. This one's a little more crumbly. So again, I'm kneading it. Take the stuff out of the oven. Oh dear. So there's no need to change the parchment paper between these two different kinds of scones. They're basically the same thing. While I'm waiting for those to cook, I'm just going to start cleaning up. The lemon and the oranges I used for the peels, I'm just going to put into a bread bag, just so they don't dry out. And I'll store those in the fridge. The orange I'll probably use if I make my homemade apple cider. I'll put those slices in there, and then the lemon, you can use for just about anything. So for the blueberry, it's the same thing, except I'm going to brush them with lemon juice instead of orange juice. Okay, so I have my little cup, and it's just got lemon juice in my silicone brush, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to put lemon juice on each one while they're still hot, and it'll give that little bit of a zip of lemon when you eat them. Best way that I've found to distribute these is to put them in just tall zip top bags, and I just lay them in the same way I did on the cookie sheet. And usually it fits about 6 in each row. So I'll lift that up for you and show you. And you can label the bag. 1 second. And you can label the bag with a permanent marker, writing down what kind they are or your message or whatever. You don't want to put them in right after they come out of the oven because they'll steam and there'll be like wet spots on it, so don't do that. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And definitely try this recipe yourself. Thanks for watching. Really yummy.